Graphic design? Can you make a living at that?
Three, two, one, fun, 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 fun.
Welcome to Design Futures, a show about what happens after design school. I'm Chris St. Cyr, and my guest on this episode is Moira Gilligan. How are you? It's good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Moira is an art director at Koyo, where she manages multidisciplinary creative teams comprised of stylists, models, photographers, and videographers to achieve consistent visual stories across all platforms. Previously, she has had creative roles at Nadam, Takun, Elf Cosmetics, and Harper's Bazaar. She's a 2017 graduate of the College of St. Rose. It's good to see you.
I know.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you. There's maybe one or two other former students I know who are kind of working in fashion or fashion related areas, but I certainly wanted to hear about your experience. Can you just talk about Koyo and being an art director there? What are you doing these days? What's new and exciting in this job?
I mean, honestly, there's a lot of similarities between this one and Nadam. Both I'm doing art direction and design direction. So kind of dabbling in both spectrums a bit. At Koyo, I'm doing like a lot of the production of marketing assets like emails, ads, Instagram, all of that like regular stuff. And then I'm concepting for a lot of their visual identity as well. So yeah, concepting for like campaigns, seasonal campaigns, and organizing photo shoots and just making the brand come to life.
And so explain what Koyo is. Is it strictly footwear?
Yeah, so their Koyo means leather in Italian. They've kind of expanded since then from being like just leather, but that's like what they're known for.
Okay. And you're talking about photo shoots and videography. Will you go back to being like in the studio and like in those settings where you're directing photographers and videographers like in the moment?
Yeah. So how it's kind of structured right now is I'm remote for like a lot of the day-to-day stuff, which is like the majority of the job. I would say like 80% of the job, but then for that other 20%, it's in real life. So I'll have to go back down for like the photo shoots and whatnot.
And so do you still have an office? Does the company still have an office there, or are you all remote? Or
no, yeah, they're actually all in the office. I kind of like got my remote included. Yeah. Can't give it up.
And so when you're doing those photo shoots, is that a space that the company owns and you do it in-house, or you on different sets out in the environment?
Yeah, I have to kind of like scout all of those locations. Some places have like some freelance clients have the studio in-house, but usually I'll have to like hunt them down.
So you said you're scouting locations. You're scouting like buildings and environment, scenery, like to do outdoor shoots?
Yeah, I do that too. That definitely requires a lot of in-person scouting. Or we'll hire like a production team. Like we just had one in Los Angeles. We'll hire a production team to do the scouting for us. And then we kind of like pick from the videos that they send through. But everything that's New York based, yeah, I'll have to go.
Yeah, I've heard of, I once talked to somebody who did that for movies or TV. Cool. And I just thought that would be such a cool job. Just going around looking at old buildings or, settings that, these places exist and people live in them and work in them. But you're trying to scout it out for, a specific scene in a movie or a show. Like, just seems like that would be kind of fun, just especially if you love architecture and the environment and getting out in the city,
For sure. It's good to be on your feet too.
Yeah.
Instead of at a computer all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So have you been to Italy? Companies in Italy? Have you?
Oh my God, I haven't, which is like so bad. I like feel guilty that I haven't been there. Even just like in my regular life, because I feel like everybody needs to go to Italy.
Yeah, I haven't checked it off yet either. But
yeah, really? I mean, I don't know. We were like planning on going like right as COVID hit, and then it kind of just dwindled off. And now I still haven't been able to circle back to it, but soon.
So what's a regular day like? You talk about like different things that you're doing, but like, when like a typical day that has, the usual stuff, but also some creative aspects to it. What's that look like for you?
I mean, lately I've had a lot of freelance work. So I'll like wake up, go to the gym, and then I come back and I'll work on freelance work for like an hour and a half. And then I'll start my full-time job around 10.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Everybody in New York's on this like 10 to 6 schedule. It's so like late. I wish it was 8 a.m. to, 4. And then in the morning, I'll do like a lot of the grunt work. So like building the emails and social media and stuff like that. It's just like a lot of, production work. And then in the afternoon, I shift to doing more conceptual work and content planning. And then after that, I'll usually go right back to freelance work at night.
This past year, I'm teaching at a different college than where we met. And a lot of the students in my current program, they do a social media class and marketing as part of their requirement. So when you're doing those emails, that kind of social media, any of that aspect, what are you using, like Canva? Do you use like MailChimp? Like what you said you're building templates. What are you using to kind of create all those campaigns?
So I'll build them in Photoshop, which is probably not the most efficient way. And then, slice them all out, like slice all the email slices out. And then somebody else takes them and like plugs them into Klaviyo, like the
What's it
email.
called?
Klaviyo.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that. Yeah.
It's like a MailChimp. So they take it after that.
Okay. So you're just designing. That's the
I'm
nice
just
part.
designing
You don't
it,
have to
yeah.
plug it in somewhere and try to mess with some little bit of code and
Definitely not.
oh good. Oh good. Yeah. I would not wish that on anybody. So.
No, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, I've done that. I've definitely broken things.
Really? Yeah, it's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
scary. These like email lists that companies have are like thousands and thousands of people. I'm like, I can't be in control of that.
Yeah, it's someone else's job. I mentioned you had worked at Harper's, and was
Yes.
Harper's your first job after St. Rose?
So Elf Cosmetics was, but I was
Okay.
only there for like 2 months or something.
Yeah.
It's like a contract role, and then switched over to Harper's after that, which was also a contract role.
Okay. And how long were you at Harper's for?
I think I was there like 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe like 2 and some change, something like that.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the things that piqued my curiosity. I saw it somewhere that you had posted. You were doing, I think you were doing something with Snapchat, and I was really curious at the time because it's fairly new, and all the brands are starting to get on it. I was like, okay, I need to look into this and see if it's something I need to bring into the classroom. And you had posted something you were working on. So what were you doing with social media at Harper's?
Yeah, at Harper's. So that's like when Snapchat was popping. It was huge. Like they were getting a ton of traction from the app. And basically on Snapchat, you have like these little sections from all like of the magazines. They have like 17 magazine, like everybody pretty much has their little tab, and you have to refresh them daily, like stories that link to articles on the actual website. So it was just like constant building. It was super high traffic. But then Snapchat kind of like died off really quick. I don't know. It had its moment for like a year and then it just kind of like vanished.
Yeah. But you were taking what, like photos and then adding the stickers and links and then that would then lead to a website. Is that how?
Yeah, they had
part of
like
your job?
they had like the cover. It was all like sourced from Getty Images because it was like a lot of celebrity oriented stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like clickbait oriented.
Right.
And I would build like the intro card slide, and then I would actually pass that off to, they had like a fully built out team, to like a motion designer, and then they would add all of the effects to it that made people click in.
Yeah. Right.
And then you like swiped up and then the article would be there, and it could like link out to a video or something that is like hosted by Harper's, and then all of a sudden you had hundreds of thousands more views on your video, and they like loved when that happened. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So one of the questions, because all these are like these fashion related brands and companies, and so that was definitely something that I wanted to hear about from you, is when, or was there some moment or some thing you experienced that for you connected graphic design with fashion? Was that something in school, when even before school, you're always interested in fashion, graphic design, trying to put these two together. So what's the story behind bringing these two creative areas together for you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I wasn't like super into fashion growing up or even like in the beginning of school, but I don't know if you remember that class that Lucy Bowditch had, like Art Now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to the city for every other Saturday or once a month or something.
Yeah. And it
Different
was
things.
so fun. And like I hadn't been, well, I grew up in like upstate New York, so very far over. So I did not have like a lot of attachment to the city.
Mhm.
And I think that class kind of, I don't know, we just went to all these cool galleries all the time, and just like being exposed to the New York City scene, I think kind of triggered some sort of interest in fashion. But my first job was in cosmetics, so I did not start in fashion. But then after Harper's, it just kind of really kicked me into that direction. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
yeah, I stayed there.
But you must have liked it because you're still there, right?
Yeah, I definitely love it. It's hard to think about like switching to a different area.
So what is it that you like about it?
I think like something about it always changing is interesting. Like every season is new. The schedule of it is nice. And it's like fun to be always updating yourself on like trending and like,
Mhm.
you know, classic styling, and like there's always work to be done in it. And I
Mhm.
think it keeps me on the hook
Oh, that's good.
and
Yeah, it keeps you
engaged. Yeah.
interested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Can you talk a little bit about the business side? So you're an art director. Do you have designers that work, like within your group, or do you have like a creative director above you? What's the kind of hierarchy like?
I've actually never had a creative director, which is kind of crazy. I wish I did because I
Yeah,
feel like I could learn a lot from them. But
sure.
no, at Nottingham, I had a junior graphic designer under me, and then I had a copywriter that was freelance, but she reported into me. And then at Koyo, I just have a junior graphic designer. And then there's like an editorial director, but she doesn't like report into me. It's like a line over.
And so, yeah, you talked about Nottingham. We mentioned this earlier. I found it fascinating that one of my students this year that I just met this past year, he was an intern with you at Nottingham. Yeah,
Oh,
shout out to Corey Wyndham for being Moore's intern at Nottingham.
yeah.
He graduated, so yeah, he's getting out there into the design world. Yeah, it's always crazy to look at something like LinkedIn and see the connections, and I guess now I've been doing it for so long that students from different schools are starting to work for and with each other. It's kind of crazy when I see that those connections that happen like that. So that's some of the business. Can you talk a little bit about, and you don't have to be specific, but just what salaries are like for designers in fashion? I mean, fashion is its own weird creative world, and fashion
Yeah.
designers and the whole editorial scene within fashion is always talked about. We love the September issue and all of that. But you're on the design side, right? The design of the graphic design of some of this. So can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been like as far as moving up through the ranks and what students might expect for salaries?
Yeah. So starting off, there's like a lot of people are way more willing to give you a chance out of college when you're on the like contract positions, just because they're not like fully committed to having you on full time.
Right.
So a lot of that's like hourly. They kind of pay you more when you're doing hourly like that. So like starting off, I honestly can't even remember, but it was like I feel like 35 an hour or
Mhm.
something in that range. And then that was at Elf. And then at Hearst, it was like a really good amount, but there was like drama within. It was like,
That sounds like fashion.
yeah, I started off there making like way more than I probably should have right off the bat. It was like around 85K or something like that, but
Yeah.
being like fresh out of college, but it was contracted. And then I was on contract there for like a year, maybe even like a year and a half. And then they offered me full time. But when you get hired full time, it's way less money.
Yeah.
So you go to like a salary, I think I was at like 45,000 or something, like
And
low for New York City.
so is that lower because like are you getting benefits though when you're full
Yeah,
time?
you get
Yeah.
like the health insurance
Right.
mixed in. It's a little painful to go from that to the other. But then at Nottingham, it was a pretty solid rate. It was like around 60. And I started there as a graphic designer. And I just like moved up really fast because people kept leaving. And then I would like move up and take their job, basically. And eventually I got to the art director, which is usually like 100K over. And now you're like building years of experience on it. So it keeps going up, which is good. And then mixing in freelance work too.
Freelance work. You got freelance work on top of a full-time job.
Yes. It's intense.
It's intense. You said you go to the gym. So that relates to one of my questions that I ask. So what do you do to take care of yourself? You go to the gym, but it sounds like you're working hard, which is fine. But when you go to the gym, are there other things you do to kind of like disconnect from work and work people and the stress of work? Or
the gym is a big one. I definitely do that most mornings, and it's such a relief from like sitting at a computer all day, like having that chance to not think about anything but your health is great. Honestly, like creative mental health, I think you had mentioned at some point. Having freelance work is actually like great for my creative mental health, because it is so hard to get like stuck on one brand and only thinking about that. So I think having freelance work is like kind of almost a stress relief for me in a way. And I don't know, I like to cook a lot, travel a lot, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's good. I guess if the freelance work is not adding to your stress, is it different kind of projects than fashion, or is it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not stressful. It definitely is stressful sometimes, but it's also just a nice break to have like the variety.
Actually, we didn't get to look at your website.
Oh,
let's do that.
Let's do it now.
So I brought up a few. Oh yeah, this one. What is this project?
So that was like an awareness campaign for Nottingham, and they had out of home posters throughout New York, and it was just for brand awareness. So we did this cashmere is made from goats. So we like shifted in goats into the AD, and soft stuff for hard people.
Did you work on all these photo shoots with these models here?
Yep. These are all like random people that I had to go hunt down and source throughout New York City. I think the wrestlers from like Long Island, and then the two motorcyclists are like in this like LGBTQ like motorcycle club that's based in New York.
Wow.
And then this girl with the goat and the skateboard, she's like a semi or an actual professional, I can't remember, skateboarder.
So cool. Yeah, these look great.
Yeah. And then I sourced this really cool photographer, and he shoots film, and we just came up with this campaign and made it come to life. Put some cashmere on a goat.
Cashmere on a goat.
Exactly. It's like a dog sweater. We made it for a goat.
It's fancy AF. Oh my goodness. The language.
Yeah. Yep. That's not him.
That's not him. It's got some edge to it.
It has a little edge.
Very nice. And are you working on like the web and mobile? Are you working on the design of things like that?
So Nottingham as a UX designer, she like builds all of the website stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm still involved.
Yeah.
I just don't actually do it.
Yeah. And then for Harper's Bazaar, I saw this one. I thought is it Snapchat or no?
No. So after Snapchat like kind of died, I started working on their main digital channels, and they launched this side project for bridal, and I worked pretty heavily on that.
What would this be used for? Was it on the website? Or
so they would do, it was like newsletter, email, subscription, and then it would link out to a website.
Yeah.
So like all of those sections linked to like an article on their website.
Can you talk about like, I don't know, like fashion photography and all that? It just seems like the budgets must be pretty high.
They are
for like hiring models, hiring talent, all the clothing, the setup, the crew, the setting, like renting space, maybe. Like, are there pretty substantial budgets you're working with?
Yes. there is, and it's a lot of pressure because I am not good with numbers. That is not my like area of expertise, but that comes kind of with the territory. And honestly, you don't really learn about budgeting really in school. It's
Certainly
kind of
not for fashion shoots.
you kind even for like design, you sometimes you have to like stick with a budget if you're like rebranding, that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
intense.
And then Koyo, yeah, I looked at the shoes. There's definitely some shoes on that website. Like, oh, I like a few of those.
Yeah, they're cool.
So what are this is like for social or
Yep,
what
social
is this for?
media. Yeah, one of the like big things I was tasked with there is like improving engagement on social media, which is another thing I'm like, yeah, that's a hard one to learn.
Which part? Which part's hard to learn?
Like just social media in general, I feel like is tacked on sometimes for creatives a
Oh
lot.
yeah,
It's
you do
just
all these other
the
things.
beast. Yeah, you have like
And
so
then
many other things that go into
yeah.
the job. I need to update this page. I made that quick when I first started.
Well, it all looks great. Beautiful photography and clothes and all the models you have to work with and the settings. Like it all looks just like you want to live in that world, right?
Yeah, it's
You want to,
definitely fun to work with all of those assets.
I mean, the shoes are the product and there's all these other things around it. Like, well, it's nice when the product itself is well designed, right? Well made. And it kind of, I don't know if it makes the job easier, but it makes it maybe more enjoyable because you can get behind it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It's important.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have this burning question. It's my fashion question. I fully admit I don't get it. I'm Gen X. I'm of a certain age. I lived through certain things. So can you please explain to me the appeal of chunky dad white sneakers
Oh
and
man.
high-waisted mom jeans? Like why are those things back in fashion? Like why did they come back?
Oh my
Because
God.
I remember those things when they were original, like
In the
in the
80s,
90s.
80s,
Yeah.
90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
was
know. I look around and I'm seeing like all of these like generations of styling like coming to life. Like everybody is like, I swear you could walk down the street in New York and like pick an outfit from every generation right now. It's crazy.
yeah, that's probably true. I don't know. There's something about, well, every generation has their thing. And I guess that's probably some of mine. Is like every generation looks back at their youth and says, oh, what was I thinking? And now it's back.
And now it's here.
And now the
Yeah.
youth love it. I don't, yeah.
You got to bring them out of your closet.
That's if I still had them.
Yeah.
It's funny. I won't call him out, but there was a student in the past couple years. He was an older student. He was closer to the faculty's age. He wasn't quite as old as faculty, but he was definitely had a couple decades on his classmates, and he came back to get a B.F.A. And there are days when he would be in class, and I would always say, I probably did it with your class too. I said, okay, what are we listening to today? Let's put on some music during studio time. And somebody wanted to listen to like Genesis or something, or Phil Collins, and the student would be like, yeah, he would like, oh, awesome. He could get all excited because that was what he listened to when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
But now all the 19-year-olds are listening to it again decades later. So, but he had the white sneakers, the white dad sneakers, right? And it's like,
Love that.
yeah, those are authentic to him, but
I'm like, was it a fashion statement?
They weren't retro. Yeah, they were just
That's
his sneakers, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It just depends on who's in the office with you.
Yeah, definitely.
What age are they? So we did meet at St. Rose. So you were in upstate. You grew up in upstate New York, is that right?
Yep, I grew up in Syracuse.
Okay, so how did you find out about St. Rose, and how did you end up there? What was your path to getting to college in Albany?
Oh my God. I was dating a guy who went to school at Albany.
Oh, it's always about that. It's always like
We
her or
broke up
him.
really fast, but that's how it actually came to my mind. Yeah. Just going with honesty there.
Yeah, well, that's that story. We've heard that story before. Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Follow somebody, friend, or boyfriend or girlfriend,
exactly.
or
There's
family.
also a lot of people who went to St. Rose. There was like some guy at my high school, like a guidance counselor or something, went to St. Rose, and he actually got me like a scholarship or something, like an alumni scholarship too.
Oh, cool.
So there was a few other connections other than
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, St. Rose, probably back then when you were in high school, at that time and before, St. Rose had a lot of good art educators or people who had gone through an education program and then knew about like St. Rose as a decent art and design program. So
Yeah.
and that seemed how I seem to hear a lot of those stories. Like my art high school teacher was, a student at St. Rose, and that's how I knew about it, that kind of thing. So
I definitely did not go for art. I went in the beginning for, I don't even know what. I was like undeclared for a year. And then I remember I was remember the dorm brew,
oh
like
yeah,
brew
the
hall or
Brubacher, yeah.
yeah. I remember like my friends were over there and they had the art classes in the basement. And I remember just walking down there. I think we were doing like the Ouija board down there or something crazy.
That's a good place to do a Ouija board, I
It
hear.
was so creepy.
Yeah.
Too many stories in the ghost realm. But yeah, all of the art was up and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, I think I want to do this. So in my second year, I ended up switching over.
That's a different path because most students come in with a portfolio. So did one of the faculty or the chair say you got to do some drawings for us to prove that you can like do this kind of thing? Or what was your path like? Because you didn't come in as a freshman with a portfolio.
I still had my portfolio
Okay.
from high school, and I had taken like, I don't know, like the AP like drawing classes or something
Okay.
in high school. So I had like the credit from that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that I had like some value to me.
So in high school, you didn't consider art or design or anything creative when you were thinking about college?
I went to like a little tiny like Catholic school that had like zero graphic design information input into.
Most high schools don't have information about graphic design.
Yeah. So I didn't know. I just was like, I guess it's not a career I can like succeed in, like art, you know what I mean? And then I like read the actual art programs at St. Rose and I was like, oh, graphic design. That sounds fun. And then I just took the leap and it worked out.
Yeah. And did friends or family kind of scratch their head? They're like, I don't know, Maura, what are you doing?
No, actually, my parents are like very supportive pretty much all the time. I don't think they even blinked an eye. They were like, yeah, do you.
That's
like,
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out, right? And you have.
Exactly. Yeah. That was their theory.
Oh, that's good. There's all kinds of support, but even if it's just like, yep, I trust you to figure it out for yourself because I can't tell you what to do, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. So St. Rose, as you know, the program just graduated its last seniors.
I know, so sad.
Maybe with that in mind, but doesn't have to be. But are there memories of, whether it's in the art department or just being a student at St. Rose, are there things that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything about it. That's why I say it's sad that it's ending. I mean, I'm like, I want every person who passes through there to have like the opportunity to go to school there. But I think like the trek to Pequot was so fun for me at the time. Nobody else was doing that. All of my friends were on campus, doing like whatever classes they did on campus. And I was just going the opposite direction, like walking 30 minutes to class every day or like taking the little shuttle. I don't know why that memory like sticks with me, like walking through the park there. And
yeah. Well, I was going to ask, did you go like walk down Madison or Washington and then walk through the park and then
exactly
into Center Square?
Yeah, I lived on Madison. I would cut through the park and then right up, but it was just such a like good walk. I don't know, it was very like peaceful. That was a great mental. I wish I had that exercise now where I could just go walk through Washington Park.
That's a nice walk, a nice kind of lead up to like, okay, now I gotta go grind it out in a 3-hour studio class.
For sure. Yeah. And I was such a like, I don't want to say procrastinator, but I was. And
You can say that now.
I can say it now that I've graduated. And Emma, do you remember her?
Yep, Emma.
Yeah.
She was one of my advisees.
Oh, nice. But me and her are both procrastinators. So we would just stay there like super late at night and have a blast hanging out there. And like we would leave after, we've been working on work that we put off for 3 hours and like hit up Lark Street for like an hour and go back.
Yeah.
I don't know, those kind of memories.
So one of the questions I had, and we've kind of talked about different things, and maybe it's somewhere in there already, but is there an influence, do you feel like, on your career, whether it was like a project you worked on or a person you worked with or faculty or peer? Is there something that sort of has inspired you in terms to keep doing what you're doing, or to, inspired you to be a graphic designer?
I mean, honestly, there's like nobody specific that has like super motivated me to do graphic design. I feel like I've motivated myself a lot, but I think we touched on it before a little bit. My parents definitely like not questioning me when I like wanted to go into like a creative field definitely helped me stick with it. You know what I mean? Like I never had that like pressure to do something, I don't know, like businessy oriented.
Right. Be a doctor, a lawyer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think just them like empowering me to do what I wanted kind of inspired me. I was like, okay, they gave me that freedom. Like now I need to actually go do something with it and like build something.
And you are. Applause to all the supportive parents out there. I mean, I think that's so great to hear. I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is parents and family. I think that's super important, especially when you're young, right? And you're trying to figure things out, even while you're in college and before you get to college, if that's your path. Since you do some freelance work, one of the questions one of my students had was, what are some red flags that pop up that make you turn down a project or a client?
For sure. I think it's hard to tell on like a post, but when you start talking to them, like if there's like a ton of emphasis on the social aspect of the job, basically like you can just tell that they're going to expect way too much like social activity out of you. Like they'll be very optics based, and what's the line? Like, we're like a family here.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because like that's one of those keywords. Like, oh, if they start using the word family a lot,
you're out.
Yeah, you're not a family. Team is fine with me. Like, no, I have a family. You're not that family.
You are not that family. No.
No. Yeah.
And I think that there's like things that they say that like kind of, allude to that. Like we work in a fast-paced environment, and like you'll have heavy workload all the time, like that kind of stuff.
You'll never be bored.
Yeah, you'll never be bored here.
I'm a big proponent of boredom. I mean, we need some boredom, you need to like go like chill out and be bored and figure out what's going on in your head.
Exactly. Yeah, get inspired by something else.
All right, so let's move on to the pop quiz. We're getting towards the end.
Oh boy. Oh gosh.
All right, so some of them are general, some are specific to you as a designer working in fashion. So that's my first question. Do you have a walk-in closet, and if so, how big is it?
Oh my God, I don't have a walk-in closet. I wish I did though.
I wish.
Soon. Yes.
Oh, all right. Okay, so you don't have a walk-in closet, but my next question, sort of related: how many pairs of shoes do you own? The person that works for a shoe company.
Oh my gosh, probably like 20.
That's it? Oh.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot. Maybe it's not. I need to step up my game. Once I get my walk-in closet, I'll have like 100.
Oh, all right. Okay. Something respectable.
Yes, exactly.
Work beverage. When you're working on the job, is there something you're reaching for when you're working?
Kombucha.
Definitely. I think I've had that answer once before.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, I tried it once. It was, what's the word? Pungent.
Oh my gosh, you have to find the right flavor.
Yeah. Pungent. Okay. What's a good flavor?
Oh my gosh, I'll send you a picture of one that I drink all the time, and it's so good. It doesn't taste like vinegary.
Yeah, that's what I've had.
Try Bucha, and it's a cayenne cleanse. So it's like
Oh.
kind of spicy. It has
Spicy?
like a kick to it. Yeah.
Yeah, vinegary. That's a good way to describe it. Yes.
Vinegary.
I'm just like, I'll just drink straight vinegar.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
all right. Sketchbook, blank or gridded?
Blank.
All right.
Yes. No grid.
Favorite TV show competition that's about fashion?
Oh my gosh. There was one where like it was like a dress competition. Oh no, I wish I remember the name of it. It came out like last year and there was like only one season of it.
Okay.
And they like built these crazy elaborate dresses and it was so fun.
Huh.
But
I'll
I
have to
don't
look it up.
remember. Yes.
Next question, type or image?
Type or image?
Yeah.
Oh no. Image?
Image.
Yes.
Yes. Says the art director who directs photo shoots.
Yes. I have
Yes.
to go with that one.
Music genre you listen to while you're working?
Ooh, I've been listening to this like playlist on Spotify called like surf rock music or something. And it's very
Really?
calm and chill. It makes me feel like I'm in California while I'm working.
All right. Last question. If you weren't a designer, what would you be?
Well, in my first year, I was trying to take classes to be like a nurse or something along that line. So maybe a nurse.
Maybe a nurse.
Yeah, totally different. If I stuck with that one.
Oh, you wouldn't want to do that. They just wear Crocs.
I know. It
They
would
don't
have
have good
been
shoes.
extremely different. I could have had a ton of Crocs.
Any final thoughts, words of wisdom for the students out there, the young designers?
Maybe if you're looking to move to New York after you graduate, try to do your internship in New York. And I swear it took me like 2 months straight of emailing recruiters like nonstop to get it, but don't give up. Just keep going. Work with a creative agency, placement agency.
All right. Well, thanks for being on. It's great catching up and looking at your work and hearing your experience. Yeah, and we'll hopefully we'll meet up sometime soon in the city. Sometime.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that'd be fun.
When you get back there, when I get down there. But it's great talking to you.
Yeah, we'll chat soon. Thank you again.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I know you've been crying, though. I know you've been crying, though. I know you've been crying, though.
So what did we learn from Moira? Number one, be wary of companies that use the word family to describe their culture. Number two, take a walk before class or hit the gym before you head into work. It'll clear your head so you can start the day. Thanks to Moira Gilligan of Koyo. If you have any comments or questions for me or any of the guests, please leave them in the comments. And subscribe so you can catch the next episode of Design Futures. Until next time, go learn something. Your future depends on it. Thanks for listening. See ya.